What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Super Otaku Show. As always, I'm Bear, joined by my fabulous hosts, Taylor Maid Otaku. How you doing, Taylor?
I just woke up and I'm hungry, so I'm a 30-year-old man eating a Pop-Tart.
That was me last week. I was trying to toss it to you guys as much as possible last week so I could inhale a Pop-Tart awkwardly. It was great.
It's the wild berry one.
Those are good.
I was literally about to ask what flavor it was. God, bring me to it.
Can we all agree
It is the...
that wild berry is the Pop-Tart in the 90s? Like, when I think of Pop-Tarts in the 90s, I think of that one. Just, the colors and everything. Or...
That's fair. But if we're talking best Pop-Tart...
It is 90s as fuck, ain't it?
If you're talking best Pop-Tart, it's cinnamon flavor, get the fuck out. Which is pretty much everybody but me, I'm sure. The cinnamon one is the best flavor.
It's my favorite.
I don't like the cinnamon.
Well,
I can't say I don't like it. I've never tried it.
You know what? You never tried the cinnamon, the OG cinnamon flavor. It's so good. You just pop that sucker in the toaster, then it would get that edges nice and crisp. It's the best thing in the world.
You're talking about
it's the
brown
best.
sugar? Yeah, brown sugar cinnamon. That one.
The brown sugar cinnamon.
Yeah, that slaps. That slaps.
That flavor slaps.
Well,
is it as the kids say, bussin'?
as my co-lover of cinnamon Pop-Tarts, my Roman half, Aaron, how you doing?
I'm good. I am Aaron, and I'm here to ask one very important question. Why does nobody ever smoke weed in anime? Have you ever, in your life, seen an anime character smoke weed?
Because Japan really doesn't like drugs.
Yeah.
That is a lie. They absolutely do.
That is a lie.
If you look at anime in general, normally if drugs.
Correct me. Do you have any anime where somebody actually uses cannabis?
Only Taylor would know.
I can't think of the name.
What I'm saying is anime is a whole world. You've got spectacular new worlds, places outside of Japan, futuristic space worlds, and not a single human being has ever ingested cannabis in the anime.
Way. There is no way, man.
Well, while you guys...
I'm sure somebody at some point... I'm just curious, if somebody knows of an anime where somebody uses cannabis, I would be very interested to see it. Because Scott is right. It is not something they are culturally familiar with in Japan. They have all sorts of synthetic versions of cannabis, spice being the most prevalent, which is very dangerous. Do not ingest spice. It is extremely bad for you.
Spice. Use spice.
But it's just kind of the spice melange. It is not the Dune spice. I'm sorry. Anyway, we have one more host.
And finally, the shooting star sheriff himself, Sharif. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm doing good. Unfortunately, I have reduced to nothing but a voice today. I've been having camera issues all this week, actually, so I gotta fix that. So I am just a voice, but I am still alive. You know what? I am on brand, and I am wearing a purple T-shirt, so I am on brand today.
It's on brand.
I am on brand,
and that's all we want to hear. That's everything I needed. Just needed to know that.
Yeah.
Apparently, there are 4 anime that have something to do with weed.
There are 4
that have just some general thing to do with weed.
Not like the whole show is about weed, but they have an episode or a character that has smoked weed. And apparently one of them is Assassination Classroom.
What?
Apparently
I haven't gotten that far, I guess.
Assassination Classroom has an episode where a character wipes out a cigarette box full of joints. But it's pretty irrelevant.
okay.
I don't know, if you were in Japan and you saw that, you would probably think to yourself, wait, is that Is that the forbidden fruit? Is that cannabis?
Apparently,
Like
there's
any
also
instance
one.
of cannabis usage?
There's also an episode in Samurai Champloo.
Okay.
As it says, Samurai Champloo has an episode where the main cast visits a farm village who seems to be growing suspicious products. It ends up catching on fire and everybody has a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. You know what? You're absolutely right.
That's great.
There's also like
Actually,
a
I
baseball
kinda-
episode.
I really do need to do a.
Yeah.
I need to do like a research episode of just a random YouTube video I should just put out of me trying to research Japan's cultural history with cannabis. Because at some point they had to like be introduced to it, right?
Presumably.
Like it had to be relevant at some point.
70s existed everywhere. 60s and 70s.
Yeah. Free love, man.
Anyway, what have you guys been watching? What have you guys been into this week? What is new or old that you've jumped into as far as the anime manga scene goes?
We want to start.
I'll wait. I normally jump first in, so I'll wait to be last this time.
I'm gonna start rolling dice to decide every week. I'm just gonna be like, I gotta die.
That's actually a good idea.
Will the dice have our faces on it?
Yeah, if somebody wants to make me dice with everybody's faces on it, I will be so happy.
All right, everybody, for a brief moment, except Sharif, make a pose in a face you want on there. And that okay, now everybody cry.
All right, so I rolled the die and I got Taylor first. Taylor, what have you been watching? What have you been into this week?
Well, let me find out the English name for this.
That's like one of the weird things when you like with certain animes now, it's either like the super long name or like the more Japanesey sounding name, and I'm like, I don't remember because it was too many words.
Okay. All right.
You get self-conscious because you don't want to try and pronounce it and
Yep.
get it completely wrong.
So this is airing this season, right?
Okay.
It's called Shinigami Bochan to Kuro Maid, or for us American people, the Duke of Death and his maid. Right.
Okay.
And basically what it is just the story of this dude who got cursed by a witch, and everything he touches dies.
It's like the worst
And-
Midas touch.
Pretty much the reverse of Midas touch. Like, call it the Hades touch. I don't fucking know. I just made that up on the spot. It's probably crap. I don't know.
I like that. That worked.
But thank you. But so in response, he's like constantly trying not to touch people. His mom kind of like just sends him into like a manor inside like the woods, like deep in the woods. So he can't. So one, he can't bother her. That's mainly the reason why she did it, but mainly so he doesn't hurt anybody else. And like there, he has this maid that they in the description they say that she sexually assaults him all the time without touching him. I've watched 6 episodes. She does not sexually assault him. It's not sexual assault. She just gets close. She's flirty. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole time it's like she's getting close to him without touching him to tease him.
That's so mean.
But it's actually pretty goddamn wholesome. Because he actually does love his maid.
Mm-hmm.
Like genuinely he does, and she loves him.
Is
back.
it like
They just can't
Nagatoro
touch.
levels of teasing, or like?
No. It's like let me lift my skirt up to show like the top part of my knee, or like the bottom part of my thigh.
Like, is this skirt too
That's-
short?
wow.
Like,
It's so.
Is it getting hot in here? We're talking
Like,
knees.
She'll get
I don't
like
know if I can be
extra
here.
close to him, and he's like, I can't. We can't touch. She's just like, but I like your face. So I'm gonna be this close to your actual face and will never touch.
Oh.
And it's actually pretty cute. Now, it is CG. It's not like drawn. It is like CG. However, I don't really care. I'm really enjoying it.
Who's the studio that does Beastars? It's like Orange something. Don't they do pretty good like CG work?
I don't know
They
any of their
do.
other work outside of Beastars.
I've only seen like clips of some of their other shows, and it looks pretty decent. I don't know. Like I'm hoping that like if they're gonna keep pursuing 3D as an option, that they find creative ways to do it. I also, some reason, I've never really noticed the fact that they were doing motion capture on Beastars. I was wondering why some of the little expressions felt so like real and why they looked so good. It's because they did motion capture for a lot of stuff,
That's cool. I
and then just translated it to the animals. Yeah, like there, you know, there's like always like a little close up or something when oh crap, what's the main character's name?
Legoshi.
Legoshi will do like, he's like nervously doing like hand gestures or something. It's a lot of stuff like that, and I don't know, it really boosts the production level.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Like it's not that terrible looking, in my own opinion. It's not like Berserk, like what was it, 2018 or whatever. It's not that bad. It's not like OG Ruby bad.
OG Ruby was trying its hardest. It really
See,
did.
that's the thing. Like I loved OG Ruby, but going back and watching OG Ruby, and if they're not fighting,
Well, that's because the fights were done by one specific person who was like, that was his whole thing.
Yeah.
And they just wrote the rest of the show around
They
that. They were
awesome.
like, we need to get to the cool fights. And we won't
It is
put
fun.
the
Like
minimal effort.
if you
They're
want to have
lucky
a
I
ride,
love the characters.
yeah, like if you want to have a wild ride of like animation quality shift, go watch Ruby, because like they go from using a more like budget, newer animation program with a team that was put together to try and learn to animate this one project, and they were in way over their head, to like a full animation team using modern software.
Yeah.
Dude, and like modern software is cheap and like very user friendly now. Some of the newer programs do some wild ass shit. Like watching I don't know if you guys are familiar with Corridor Crew. They do like VFX breakdowns on YouTube. They'll do React videos. They're not solely that, but like their big break on YouTube is they do React videos to VFX stuff. And every once in a while they'll do stuff like they'll have a animation contest where they'll do like something in different programs. And just like, I think one of them was using like Epic's engine for something. Like Epic Games, or no, I'm sorry. What's the big one that Fortnite and Kingdom Hearts 3 use?
It's Unreal, which is Epic's engine.
Unreal, thank you. Unreal Engine. They were using Unreal Engine to do like VFX animation, and like basically they have like a brush and it just draws landscapes for you. Because like here's like a bunch of different rock formations and it just kind of randomizes the pattern, but it looks real. Or the doggies are mad.
Doggies like, stop talking about
You guys
CG,
keep going, I'll
back
go
to
get the dogs.
anime.
Okay, Taylor, what else you been watching?
Speaking of CG,
Not Ruby.
I really want to get back into Ruby. I have not watched it since like season, like I want to say 4, the end of season 4. That, and I haven't watched any more. It makes me sad because I really like the characters. But you know, where's Nora? Here's Nora. She's chilling. But other than that, I recently saw like this. I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw like this clip out of this of another CG anime that I saw that I really liked. It was it's called like High Score Girl, and it's basically gaming in the 90s. It's arcade gaming in the 90s.
That sounds fun.
But it's like this kid who loves video games, and this other girl who's it's a pretty common generic story. Like, she's rich, so she can't. So there's like pressure to stay like a certain way, but she likes video games. But her parents is like, no, video games are for commoners. You're a
Not in the fucking 90s. They weren't. What?
You're a goddamn Scrooge. There's no way you were gonna be seen playing video games. Basically, they want her to devote all her time to being the next head of the family or whatever. She's like,
go school, go cram school, go
oh.
second cram school, go home.
she's like, bitch, I wanna play Street Fighter. I'm really good at this game.
Really good at Street Fighter, bro. Now it's the opposite, where it's like rich people are like, no, go into gaming. We'll buy you the entire setup, and you'll make thousands on Twitch.
Yeah, but basically, it's like a romance. Is why I'm so into it. Of like this girl who's really good at video games, and this dude who really loves video games, and the girl is constantly stomping his ass in video games. And he's like, "You're my rival," and the girl's like, "I like you."
That's great.
You're my rival. You are nothing to me.
That one's on Netflix, right?
Huh?
That one's on Netflix, isn't it? High Score Girl?
It is on Netflix.
Yeah.
I like the girl because she don't talk. She just be chill. That came out wrong. but she
We do not endorse misogyny on the stream.
we do however love child violence. Now, but that's not what I meant. What I meant was like she's like a character who just doesn't talk, so she uses like her actions to do like her actions and facial expressions to like display her emotions. So she's more
she's very much like a show don't tell character. Like, she does things instead of just a whole bunch of
yes, but she's also like distant. For some reason, she only has one line in like maybe 2 lines in like 2 full ass seasons. and they were nice. They were nice lines. I enjoyed them.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Sharif, what have you been watching? What have you been into?
Actually, I've just been reading a lot of manga. There's been a lot of one shots that have come out recently that I've been just kind of picking up. As far as some of the one shots I've been reading, there's this one shot called Science versus Magic that I've been which is like a special one shot drawn by the One Punch Man artist Yusuke Murata. So it's basically like take like the apex of magic and take like the apex of science and have them just throw fisticuffs with one another. That's basically all the one shot's about, which is pretty cool. Not to mention I believe in throwing hands to the maximum capacity. But that's been a pretty cool one shot. There's a new one shot by the creators of Promised Neverland called DC3 that's recently been released at the beginning of August that I did not take a look at till now.
I can't do Promised Neverland. It makes me too sad. I watched the first like 2 episodes. I was like, this makes me sad. So I'm gonna go home.
So that
you gotta keep watching Promised Neverland.
It makes me sad.
Just skip the second season. Just go to the manga.
Yeah, so
I've heard a lot about season 2 of that show.
We don't talk about season 2.
We don't.
We don't talk about season 2.
Did they like butcher
that's
it?
fair.
Huh?
Did they
guess.
butcher it or something? Like, did they not do a good
Oh no,
adaptation?
they didn't butcher it. They took a shit on it, flushed it down the toilet, and then put it in a volcano.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Season 2 of Promised Neverland isn't it like Infamous? It's like Infamous is like one of the bad second seasons in anime.
Yeah.
One of the worst.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Oh, don't you hate it when that happens?
I despise it when that happens. We should talk about it sometime.
And then what else have I been? What else? As far as and then I did start reading Chainsaw Man because Taylor kept talking about it, so I started reading Chainsaw Man. And it is as a guy who likes to turn his brain off, I like it's fine with me because I take it. I like Dragon Ball still, so I like turning my brain off. So I think it's fine. It's fine. I do understand like why people do say it's a little overhyped, so I can kind of see where Taylor's coming from on that a little bit. But I think it's okay.
I liked it a bunch. I like Chainsaw Man is one of those ones where I'm like, I get this. This is fun. This is different.
So okay.
I was like, this is so different. Unlike
It is so okay.
Demon Slayer, which is literally just the same as all the other ones I've ever watched.
But that's pretty much about it for me. We got any news this week?
Well, we still
you're
gonna skip me and Aaron. That's me.
Nobody cares what you watched. We get it. It's Odd Taxi. We get it.
I did homework.
Aaron rewatched Odd Taxi in another language. It's in Portuguese this week.
It's Portuguese on Taxi. Adds a whole new dimension to it. No, I actually watched a shit ton of anime this week.
Oh boy.
I finished like 2 more seasons of Food Wars, and it's kind of gotten to a point where the silliness is so far out there that I'm not enjoying it as much. Like he's going up against these like murderous clown people, and their like food specialties are so stupid that it doesn't even make sense. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's the last arc that I was saying.
Sure.
The final plate or the final course or whatever it is.
Yeah. I'm not ready for it. It's too much. I finished up what is currently animated of Jujutsu Kaisen. And again, I just keep reiterating the same point. I love the animation, and it's serviceable. It's fun, but it's not. It's not that amazing. I feel like it's the same way
The
Scott
big
feels
dude
about
with
Demon
the
Slayer.
ponytail. He's so good.
Yeah, no, he's the best. Like, no, he's my favorite character because he's so stupid. His motivations are so simple, but he's one of the more interesting characters of the show. He's like, what kind of girls do you like, Itadori? And Itadori's like, I like tall girls with big butts, like Jennifer Lawrence. And he's like,
We're brothers.
brother.
Literally. Like, he believes wholeheartedly.
He imagines a whole separate reality that they could have occupied, where they're like best friends in high school, which is adorable. Like, I love that. I love that for him, and I hope they continue to be great brothers.
He is the homie. He is the homie.
I think it just has
such a strange character.
Yeah.
We will find the way to the glorious butts, my brother.
Yeah, like
You know their way. You know their way.
Well, the Japanese voice acting, they can't say he instead of saying like Nissan or something like which would translate directly to brother, he says brudda. That's how he says it.
That's amazing.
It's always funny.
Now I have to watch it in Japanese.
It's funny because like they do a bunch of English words instead of just doing whatever their direct Japanese translations is.
So, I guess maybe
really
that's. I think there's like interesting tones and flavors to Jujutsu Kaisen, which is like the things that make it really fun. Is because it is a like Naruto generation. It's clearly a big 3 generation inspired shonen. Like it definitely like looks at like Bleach and Naruto and One Piece, and like that's where it borrows heaviest from Naruto, of course. But
and it breaks all its rules.
Yeah, like it does some really fun things. Like I like the way like the demons look and stuff. I think they have some really cool like aesthetics in the show. I like that it's like weirdly modern. Like it like is
they like have cell phones and shit.
Yeah, like it's modern, and they reference pop culture pretty frequently throughout it. Like the amount of like Jennifer Lawrence jokes and things like that. Like it feels like this is just happening in Japan and we don't know it. Which I believe.
It's very modern. It doesn't feel dated in any kind of way.
So like that's the things that I like about Jujutsu Kaisen. I was like, this is really cool. This is like fun for me, and I like the characters for the most part. That's my micro review of Jujutsu Kaisen.
The end credits to the first season are the vibes. Like, I want every anime to end this way, where it's them like dancing, like they rotoscoped some like people dancing and animated the characters onto it. Fucking when Gojo comes through the door, it's like, dude, that is the hardest I've seen anybody vibe on screen. It's so great. I love that ending, and it's really funny because it's tonally completely separate from the show. Like, minor spoiler. Skip 5 seconds ahead. Itadori dies. They play the end theme song. It's like, yeah. All right. Moving on. Started watching season 2 of Mob Psycho 100. I fucking love Mob Psycho.
Mob Psycho is so good.
Mob Psycho 100 has so much heart. It is beyond any other anime I've ever seen in that capacity. It's so cute and beautiful about this poor little boy who's socially awkward and has unfathomable power. I've seen a lot of people kind of talk about that Mob himself is kind of like a stand-in for autistic people, and that's really cool. It's the same way that like people often say that what's his name from Guardians of the Galaxy, Dave Bautista's character, is like kind of like he fits a kind of role of an autistic character. They relate to him, and I really like that. I think that's really cute.
Fun fact.
But yeah, I like.
Did you know that Mob Psycho is the same guy that makes One Punch Man?
What? Yes, I did.
Okay.
It's very apparent by the art style. You see Mob and you see Saitama, and you're like, yeah, this is the same guy.
Rocket.
But the animation for Mob Psycho has stayed way more consistent and a lot more fun. It's so freeform. It's so energetic and fun. It's so amazing. So I've only watched like 2 episodes into season 2, enjoying it immensely so far. Really like it. I watched 2 episodes of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime.
Mm-hmm.
Just so I can get that off my chest, because I needed to know why this anime is being lauded so much. I'll be honest,
it's fun.
It is fun. I'm just not
dragon, dog.
It does have a tsundere dragon. That's real.
That is real.
I mean, yeah. I watched the first 2 episodes and I'm like, I get why people like this. I'm not quite as fascinated by it. I was just like, I can come back to this at some time and watch the rest of it.
If the first 2 didn't hook you, I don't know if it will, but give it like the first 5. Because I think by the end of the first 5, he has his powers are cemented, he's made a friend, he has his town, and you kind of get the vibe of like what the cycle is going to be in the show, and it's neat from there on.
Right.
I just if you don't have anything else, I'm going to jump off that because that's actually what I finished this week.
I do have 2 other things.
Oh god, you watched too many things.
I told you,
too many things.
I watched the first 2 episodes of Sunny Boy, which is on our list. And Sunny Boy is actually really good. Like, I was expecting it to be like okay.
Good. It's this like weird fucking A-team like superstar team. It's the guy who did the first season of One Punch Man doing the same shit he did with the first season of One Punch Man.
Okay, can I ask you this? Is anybody from like Summer Wars or The Girl Who Left Through Time involved with this?
I'm pretty sure.
Because it looks very much like that.
I'm definitely.
It has the very same style. But the first 2 episodes are great. I really think it pulls you in just from those first 2 episodes. I love how it's very much like it just tosses you in. There's no like opening where it explains all the characters. No, it just fucking throws you headlong into this very abstract and strange reality that these kids are currently living in. And then there'll be flashes back in time, like little moments that'll kind of give you some character background. But a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it so far. Can't wait to see more. I think there's 6 episodes out currently. And then one of the other ones I watched, which all of you will probably be intimately familiar with, is I watched the Ant arc of Hunter x Hunter.
Chimera Ant arc. Yeah.
Let's fucking go.
You know, like, You know how you were saying that, like, oh, there's this moment in this season of Hunter x Hunter that, like, you'll realize, oh, this is a great show. I didn't get that until this season when I watched it, and then maybe that's because I've been passively watching it with my fiance. But this season, I like was hooked, and by the end of it, I was like, oh, now I get why everybody thinks this is such a great show. This was good.
Yep, and it's fun. Like when you finish that arc and then you go rewatch it with the lens of like where the characters are, you're like, oh, this has always been who they are. This is not a new development. It's just like this is the extreme.
Yeah. No, Nina cried by the end of it. That like last scene or the second to last episode of the last scene. It's like, God, how do they make me feel for this dude?
Oh yeah.
What the fuck?
I ended up watching that at like 4 a.m. because I started early that night at like 8 o'clock. I was like, I'm gonna watch like 2-3 episodes, and I ended up like binging the last like third of the season, like the entire mansion invasion, and I was just like trying myself to sleep.
Also,
after.
maybe this is just me. Like, I have such a two minds about this particular thing in the show. The narrator explaining every little thing. On the one hand, I love it because it gives you these intricate little details that you wouldn't have thought that anybody would put, thought into, and it makes you feel like, man, the creator really gave some thought to everything that's happening, and it kind of gives you a little more about their mindsets because all of this is happening in like 0.2 seconds in the show, which is always a fun thing.
Fun fact. The reason that is done is because in the actual manga, Togashi did that. It might have been partially because of his failing health. It has now officially been over 1,000 days since the last issue of Hunter x Hunter has been released. It's been on hiatus for 1,000 days now. Very sad. But he actually put these big blocks of text throughout the panels, and it works pretty well there from the bits that I've seen. But sometimes it's weird and jarring in the anime itself, for sure.
It's mostly that the momentum of a scene suddenly gets like, you're just like, God damn it, I want to see what happens next. And he's like, and this is what he thought. I will explain to you in detail every single thing that passed through this
Taylor
character's
looks
mind.
like he's in so much pain.
I wonder, is the screen frozen?
He's so still that we can't see him.
Impressive. Taylor mulled this over in his mind. Even the butterflies were fooled by his absolute stillness.
No. I'm deep in thought right now because I cannot remember for the life of me Batista's name in the Guardian of the Galaxy.
Drax.
I remembered it like.
Were you really sitting there?
Did you not notice me going through the characters? Like, there's Star-Lord, Gamora, Rock. I was going through the I was like, what is his name? He's like my favorite character. Why don't I remember his name?
Oh man.
I forgot it momentarily, and then like afterwards, I was like, "It's Drax. That's all right."
It is Drax. Don't worry.
So
that's my
list.
The whole time. I was just thinking.
That's my list, by the way. That's the whole thing. There was quite a lot on there. But yeah, I did watch a lot this last week.
So, I didn't watch a ton actually. I've been busy constantly like on the phone or worrying about this like big move.
Oh yeah, tell us about your big move.
Oh yeah, so
not to be confused with his big movement. That's different.
Yeah, it's different. That's about legalizing panda ship ownership. So Aaron made me get a job where he works, so I have to move to Austin, Texas. So there may be a weekend or two in the next few weeks where we have off weeks, guys. Sorry, everybody on the internet. But because of that, I've been super busy. I've been constantly like on the phone with like either realtors or doing paperwork for the job or paperwork for my apartment or just panicking about the fact that I have to move most of my stuff across the country. or halfway. I gotta move to like literal middle of the country.
Boy, just like right, yeah, you're just like moving with just one quadrant.
Yeah. So because of that, I've been a little distracted, and I watched a little bit more Shaman King, and I'm just really lukewarm on it. It feels like they took the material they had, and they're just readapting it. They're not doing anything special with it. Like, they're not trying. It is just a modern adaptation at roughly the same quality it would be if it was like a regular shonen kids anime. And even then, it's kind of a little lesser then, because like if you go look at the animation for something like Black Clover, Jujutsu Kaisen, they're so much nicer and so much more fluid. I think Black Clover is like the best example, because like that's a weekly anime, and like when that animation pops off, it's wild. And I feel like they're just phoning it in, like they're doing the bare minimum for this. Maybe they're saving up for later, because the crazier fights come when the shaman fight comes in. But I don't know. It feels like maybe they're being a little too faithful to the exact like manga paneling instead of like being a little creative on their own. Look at Demon Slayer, guys. Demon Slayer is carried by its pretty animation. You could do that with Shaman King.
It's not just that.
It's just
but
that.
the animation is beautiful.
It's the animation of that one demon who has the bongo drums. That was neat.
He's like my least favorite one they fought too. But the 3D was cool.
So I watched that. I don't remember. Like I definitely. No, that was last week. I was about to say Teppo, but I read Teppo last Sunday, right before the show. The only other thing I watched was I finished, of course, that time I reincarnated as a slime season 2. I really loved it. I'm super excited for whatever is the next season. I want to figure out. There's like a whole bunch of like little OVA type things now for that series. Just like I think like Overlord and a few other isekais just like spun off into like little things as well. But that time I got reincarnated as slime has some kind of OVA. I got to figure out where that fits in which anime it is, because I want to watch that even though it's like filler silliness. And the final show that I've been watching, it's literally nothing to write home about. It's just I put it on and I was like, fine, this will be my junk food for now. Is Combatants Will Be Dispatched, which is a weird show. It is, I forget who makes it. I think it might be like the same author that made Konosuba, because they make a Konosuba joke very obviously in the show.
Right.
Like, literally, like at the end of one episode, like this guy's boss offers to send him the new issue of Konosuba as a gift. The whole thing is that this guy works for like an evil organization that has basically conquered Earth, but they know they're going to need like more resources, so they're like, hey, you have been totally uniquely chosen. It's not that we drew straws, and you're going to go to this other world and get it ready so we can take it over when we're done. And it's him and his little android sidekick and his very goofy harem that like happens. And it's weird because it has like a lot of ecchi like overtones, but they don't do a lot of like moe fan service stuff. It's just like ecchi humor, and it's like a weird thing.
Weird thing.
Guys, can I admit to you something on the show?
It's probably gonna be something we already know, and we're just gonna make fun of you, but sure.
I watched the first 2 episodes of this show. It's called Interspecies Reviewers.
Why?
Oh!
I was very curious.
That's my jam. Did you watch this with Nina?
I did actually.
Oh god!
And Nina was more into it.
Don't make.
Oh god!
I was like, because I had to. Like I saw on there's a series that Beyond the Bot does, the YouTube channel, where they're like good anime that you can't watch in public, which is a fun little series they do, and they bring up this show, and I'm like, well, so is this a hentai but it's not. Or rather, it doesn't meet the full necessary elements of a hentai. It is like this close. It is this close to being a full.
It is a hentai premise done like an ecchi show.
It is a hentai show. God damn it, it's hentai, and it's like we're right on the line. We're just gonna skirt it, just play along that line. Don't worry about it. It's weird. It's a weird show. It's very weird. I mean, the premise is kind of funny, though. Like, the premise of it's kind of funny.
It is literally...
These guys, like...
Yeah, you go ahead. Like,
I'm sorry. The whole premise is that there's this world where a bunch of different species of creatures intermingle, like elves, fairies, beast people, demons, all of them. And they all intermingle. And it's about these 3 adventurers, we'll call them that because it's technically what they are, whose sole job is to review brothels of these different species. They just go to the elf brothel, and they're like, they write down their thoughts on the elf brothel. And that's the whole thing. That's the whole show. It would probably be a weaker show if it doesn't actually play with that premise a bit. Like, one of the reviewers is an elf, and so, like, when he sees the human with another elf, he's like, oh, you tap that? She's like 500 years old. But to him, like, to the human, she just looks like she's in her 20s.
Anyway.
Then the elf goes for an old lady.
Yep.
He's like,
yeah, he likes the old woman. He's like, oh, yeah, they don't age past 80.
So,
like, I don't know how I feel about this age gap thing you've got.
I laughed so hard, and I appreciated the attention to detail that they give these characters. They feel like their own characters with their own wants, their own needs, and their own preferences, and I enjoy that part of the show. I love this show so much, and I swear to God, sit back. Did you like the show?
I thought it was fine. Like, it's not something I would watch, I don't think, casually, but I do enjoy what they're going for. I just think it's very funny. I think a lot of it boils down to, like, the spiciness of the show. They're like, oh, we're not quite a hentai, but, like, come on in here.
It really feels like they were like, how far can we push it?
Yeah, it's like,
Episode
there was
4.
this,
Episode 4.
I haven't gotten to
okay.
episode 4, I'll say that.
Episode 4 is where they pushed the boundary, and Funimation said, we don't want this on our platform anymore. So they literally pushed it off.
Now
Well,
I need to go watch episode 4.
They literally have all the episodes on Pornhub. That's where they put them.
That's amazing.
Also, like, it kind of reminds me of there was this manga series, and I think they turned it into an anime. That was very much, it had a very similar type of deal where it's like, oh, this is spicy, but it never crosses the line. But it's like a harem with, like, beast girls. I don't know if that sounds familiar.
Monster
like, one of the
Musume?
girls is like, yeah. It's like one of the girls is like a snake girl. One of them's like a bird girl. One of them's literally a slime.
Yeah.
Well,
So, I don't know. Like,
I know this anime.
It was like, it had a story. Like, it wasn't just this.
I hate to cut you guys off, but we are 44 minutes into a show, and we haven't gotten out of the intro.
We're here to talk, man.
We're here to talk about horny anime.
Well, we got
We need
news
a
an
bonk. We
entire
need to
topic of the show to do.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
We'll do it.
yeah. Go on to the news.
All right. So, funny enough, the first part of news is something that I actually more want to talk about than just make news. Because for years I've seen articles about these. There's 2 right here. One is that the My Hero Academia has a new stage play coming out in Japan, and so does Naruto for the first time in 40 years. And I'm just curious. So this is a thing that happens a lot in Japan. It's very common for popular animes. There's 2 things that happen in Japan all the time that I'm very surprised at. One are, like, radio dramas. The other are stage plays. Because, like, these are not things that happen in the U.S. or really anywhere else that I know of. And so
Not to this degree.
not like this, like not like
Yeah, not like this.
let's like what's the last like major thing that got like a stage play in the U.S. is SpongeBob.
Spider-Man.
Like no, it's SpongeBob. SpongeBob is the latest like out of the big bread.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because SpongeBob was like
I know they did-
2016.
I know they did Shrek, Spider-Man, SpongeBob. Like
But like, listen to like those properties, right? Like those are like global properties. But there are like weird things that just like any like moderately popular anime, anything that gets like a manga and an anime, and it gets like a little more popular, then you get stage play. I feel like that's like the next step, and it's just a weird one. Like, would you guys know anything about this? Like, why Japan loves these stage plays?
well, I don't know why they exist. Maybe it just has something to do with the culture of stage productions in Japan. Like they've always been a big part of Japanese media. Not in the same way that the Western audience might understand that. So it's not like Shakespeare. It's more of like cultural stories told through plays, right? Like it's like an oral history almost. So the idea of translating these small pieces of culture into stage plays doesn't seem that weird to me. And I wouldn't know, but the thing is I wouldn't know too much about that. But I do remember I had a friend who went to this big Japanese, a big Naruto expo in Japan. It was like a full Naruto themed expo. Like they have like stuff on display, historical little facts, all sorts of really cool stuff. And at the end, they watched like a stage play, and he showed me the like cast pictures that they took for the thing, and like I don't know why somehow they're better at casting the stage productions than they are like their live action films, because these dudes look so legit. They look like the characters. I was like, what the fuck? This is so cool. Why do these guys look so legit? They put so much work into it. I love it. I would love to watch a stage production of Naruto if I had the option to. I think that'd be really cool.
I would love to see somebody actually scream out Sasuke in Naruto in real time. Naruto!
I mean, I would love to watch a Naruto stage play, but that's for obvious reasons.
Cause we know you would only go for Hinata.
He's just waiting at the edge of the stage with like a bed of flowers, waiting for Hinata to show up.
He's like in a full tux and like he's got like a ring in a box.
Wait to make my move.
He's like, I'm ready.
Real
Don't
quick,
tell
just
me she's not even in the play.
just because somebody dropped it and said hi in the chat, I'll shout them out and say hi to little fungies since they were talking to us and we did not notice.
Hello.
What up, homie?
What up?
What's up?
Welcome.
So that is all I wanted to talk about with stage plays. Moving on to like a little bit more My Hero news. It's something fun, but we'll never get. Is that the My Hero movie is now getting 4D screenings in Japan.
What the fuck does that mean?
Do you not know what 4D is?
It's like the amusement park gimmicks where they like the seat does stuff to immerse you into the film. I say immerse very loosely because it does not.
It's like
like the closest
low thrill like roller coaster ride while you watch a movie.
Yeah. So like you go to Universal Studios, right? And you go to see Shrek 4D. This is a real thing. I'm not making this up. You go to see Shrek
Shrek
4D, right? And like
It's
on the
pretty cool.
screen, a bunch of spiders like fall into frame, and they drop out of frame, and then the seat hits you with a bunch of little air, like shoots air out at you, so it feels like shit's crawling all over you. That's the kind of shit we're talking about when we talk 4D.
So basically, cause when Deku does a Detroit smash, someone will run left field and smack you straight, hit you dead in your face.
Yep, that's real.
They're
At
probably
that
just gonna
point,
hit
we
you with
gotta
the biggest
step
air
outside.
cannon.
No, it's
Like,
just
we just gotta step
You just get
outside
hit with
them.
air.
yeah, like there'll be like a little like thing like that's flashing on the screen. You're supposed to turn around and punch the guy behind you, like in a wave.
My favorite like 4D production was the Terminator show that they had at Universal Studios. I don't think they do it anymore. But the Terminator one was the coolest fucking show ever. Because people would like a dude dressed as Arnold Schwarzenegger would actually ride out like physically
Yeah.
on a motorcycle. A guy that's Arnold Schwarzenegger would drive out on a motorcycle and then drive into the screen and the movie would start like it just like it flows into the screen.
Fun,
He's going in and out of it.
fun.
Dude, that sounds cool.
It is.
It is very cool.
Fun bear story. When I was a little kid, that scared me so much when the Terminators pop out of the wall and like lock in that my parents
Yes.
had to
Oh
take
my
me
God.
out of the theater because I thought we were actually
There's
trapped.
a moment. Yeah, there's a moment where Terminators, like 16 of them, come out either side of the theater and like blast holes in physical targets. So you see them shooting and just holes burst out of the targets and you're like, oh fuck, they got real bullets.
Nope.
I can see
What
being
other
an adult being
explanation
like,
could there be?
Man, this is really cool. But being a kid and being like, what?
Yeah, like I was
About
maybe
the Terminators.
8. Like
You said they weren't real.
yeah, like I was at most 8 years old, so I was horrified. So next thing up on the
Moving
docket
on.
is that the Jump Festa 22 is happening this year, but it's a weird hybrid event. They're doing it primarily via the Jump Festa Island, which is an app that's going to have all the panels and a whole bunch of other stuff with it, so you can like basically experience the whole con as best you can via this smartphone app. And the actual audience, like the people who get to go, attendance is going to be extremely limited and done completely by lottery. So that's going to be neat to get a smaller amount of people, but still get some people there for like a live reaction, and then still hold Jump Festa, which is Shonen Jump's giant like festival they do every year. They announce like cool stuff. They show off like all their current running series and some of like the fan favorites and stuff. So that's a cool thing.
So it's like
I
E3.
do not.
Yeah, but for Shonen
Yeah.
Jump specifically.
And every year they play Van Halen's Jump.
Jump!
Might as well jump.
And our final bit of news is I lost the date here, but we have the official like first look at Gundam Breaker Battlogue or Battlelog. I don't know how they want you to say this word, which is the new Gundam Breaker OVA series. It's a 6-episode little OVA that looks really cool. Sharif, did you get to check out the trailer?
Yeah, I love Gundam Breaker Battlelog. So like the Battlelog series is like just kind of in a condensed form. Is basically Gundam kind of just paying homage to a lot of different things, especially like, but they do it through like the build fighters like aesthetic where like they build different Gundams and like they fight different, they fight people with other Gundams. So like you'll see things like the Gundam Strike Freedom versus like the Gundam Barbatos, like just like just kind of like fan favorite fight, or like not fan favorite fights, but like fights that people would want to see in like the series.
Yep, and of course
So
they
that's
have an entire new suite of main character Gundams that are already on sale.
Oh yeah, I've already pre-ordered like 5 of those bad boys.
I'm so disappointed in you. Anyway,
I got some news. 2 pieces of small news. One, the trailer for the animated Star Wars just dropped. The anime Star Wars.
Yep.
Like an actual trailer where we get to see what the animation will actually look like. So that's exciting. And then something I just caught today and just thought it was funny. There's going to be a manga run for Back to the Future.
I can see it.
Marty-chan.
I have news that might scare you.
Okay.
It scares me.
scares
So last week we talked about Sony buying Crunchyroll,
Yeah.
and so Funimation and Crunchyroll have decided they're going to combine and make one website,
Okay.
which sounds amazing, but it's also Sony. And I have no idea how good or how terrible this might actually be.
Yeah, Sony makes they make two good products. One great product, one good product. It's the PlayStation line of products, and their TVs are the two good things they make. Everything else.
No. There's only one good thing Sony has ever made, and that's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's the only good thing ever made. It exceeds all other products.
It actually does.
I fucking
100%
love
agree.
Spider-Verse so much.
Oh, I do kind of want to piggyback off of what Aaron was talking about with Star Wars Visions. I don't know if you guys know, but Studio Trigger and Production IG are doing episodes for Star Wars Visions. So that's going to be really dope to see. Studio Trigger and IG are going to be doing episodes on there. So I'm excited.
I think Trigger actually has 2 episodes, which is cool because it's like it's like 6 studios and 9 episodes or something. So I'm pretty hyped.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time.
At least now Trigger can bring in aliens and it's okay.
Yeah, they can finally go where they've always wanted to go, far, far away.
Aliens.
So, with that though, I think it's time to move into the main event. Who's taking it this week? Because it's sure as hell not me, because I know nothing about this topic. As you guys can tell,
it's me
by my anime watch list this week. I did not do my homework.
Ooh. Okay, so today we're talking about what I'm kind of generalizing as a subgenre. It's not a genre in of itself, but it's more like this loosely connected genre that I've been noticing a little more of in recent years. And we're talking about educational anime. Now, when I say educational anime, I mean anime whose main purpose is not to be an educational series. It has its own storyline, like characters develop and things like that. But the subject matter of what's actually happening is purely educational. So we're talking about shows like Dr. Stone, Cells at Work Code Black, Silver Spoon, Heaven Design Team, I believe it's what it's called, and to a lesser degree, even Food Wars, I think fits within this category. And it's, if I were to try and make a comparison to an American show, it's kind of like it's kind of like Magic School Bus, where it's like the plot is operating on its own, but everything within the episode is just purely educational.
Wait, you know what I remember from Magic School Bus?
I thought Magic School Bus was anime.
Magic School Bus is pretty much anime, but I remember 2 things. I remember the episode where they went to the haunted house that wasn't haunted at all. It was just a scary ass house they were in. With a bunch, and they were teaching us about sound. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the other one was the one where they visited the planets. And then they got to Pluto, which was at that time still considered one of the 9 planets. And this bratty girl was just like, she had a souvenir from all 9 planets, and they were like, yo, we can't take all that crap back. You got to leave it here. And she's like, I'll just stay here with my stuff. And then Arnold just decided, you know what's going to happen? If you stay here, and for some reason he took off his helmet and his head turned into ice. And that freaked me out as a kid. And I was like, what? And then they just put him back in the... But they just put him back on the bus, and they drove him back to Earth, and then his head it's like melted, and he was fine. And I was like, yo, for real though?
That's
horrifying. That's horrifying. How his head how he just didn't die immediately, I don't know. Anime, I suppose. But yeah, that freaked me out, and now I kind of never want to go to Pluto.
all things aside, though, I find this new subgenre pretty interesting. Like, I don't remember animes ever having this angle before. This seems relatively new. Relatively, I don't know when like the first one I would consider educational started running, but like such a large portion
Dragon Ball taught
of the
me
anime
that boys and
manga.
girls are different.
What?
So Dragon Ball taught me that boys and girls are different, and Goku was very confused. I'm just here to make really bad jokes all episode. This is not my area of expertise.
Is that your role today?
Yeah. I am the Aaron now.
Now I am in an arena where I know more than Scott on the anime. But you've seen Dr. Stone, or at least are familiar with it, right?
I've seen a few episodes, yeah.
So like the basic premise of all these is that there is a plot that is not driven by the educational material. So unlike Magic School Bus, every episode is not focused around a specific avenue of learning. So it separates itself from like Magic School Bus or Schoolhouse Rock or even like Sesame Street, honestly. But like these are shows in which they go into like heavy detail about things that are extremely well versed in educational. Like I think the first time I noticed this was Nina put on a show called Cells at Work. And the whole point of Cells at Work is it's like an educational version of Osmosis Jones. Y'all remember Osmosis Jones?
That one I know.
I remember that train wreck of a movie.
Osmosis Jones
I love it for nostalgia's sake, but it was trash.
It was fun trash though.
Yeah, it was fun trash, like Space Jam.
But like it's the whole point is that you're watching. It's like a shonen battle anime, where the main character is a white blood cell who at various times throughout the show is called to fight different, either just diseases that like pass through our body that we're usually not very affected by, because our immune systems are usually doing work most days. It follows like a white blood cell, and then there's the kawaii red blood cell, who's his like, you know, he's the girl that he needs to protect. But like I remember watching it, and they would just stop mid battle and explain what like the rhino virus was, right? Like they go into in-depth detail about like how allergies function. Because like the reason our allergies cause such problems is because our immune system basically is fighting our body. And the crossfire is all the symptoms we experience. So like it's interesting. But now there seems to be just a whole slew of them. So like Food Wars, every episode where they make something, they usually go into pretty heavy detail about the science of how that food is either made or how the flavors are being pulled out of those specific food profiles, which is interesting because like on a normal cooking show, they'll explain what they did and, you know, how they did it, but they won't explain why that thing does what it does. Like for example, a show I used to watch back in the day was called Good Eats. Is anybody familiar with the show Good Eats?
I only like
it would be
shows with Gordon Ramsay yelling at people.
It's fucking raw. Can we get an educational Gordon Ramsay show where he's yelling at children about why scientifically their food didn't work out?
Children?
Yes, it has to be children.
No.
I mean, he has a show where he works with children, and it's very sweet. He's a big old sweetheart. But I want one where they pick children specifically for him to yell at. Get like a bunch of like shitheads who have no direction in life, and then give them a pan, and he's like yelling at them about why their food is raw.
Believe it or not, actually, like it's like very light in the edutainment, but like the UK version of Kitchen Nightmares is legit great.
Yes, it is. It is very
because
good.
the UK one is cut around the arc of him helping the restaurant as opposed to the drama with the restaurant. So like, because the American one is always cut to accentuate like
90% drama.
yeah, like they purposely like up the ante and make it look like he's more angry and like screaming and being mean, and they cut around and push for that. Whereas the UK version, they cut around like him being like a good restaurateur who's just kind of cuss happy.
Right.
But anyway, I want to make the Gordon Ramsay edutainment anime. I'm working on it.
Do it. Gordon Ramsay, hire us to help produce an anime of you teaching American kids about cooking. It's gonna be great.
Japanese dishes.
That's the only thing I don't like about Food Wars is like I just feel like so many of the dishes are Japanese, and I'm like, I want more. Give me more.
She cooks general meat dishes, like
yeah, but she
steak
makes fucking katsudon most of the time. She's making like rice bowls, which is a Japanese dish.
But
That's
but
her,
like that's
thing.
the
She
Put
does
some
meatballs.
respect on her name, goddamn.
But that's the gag,
Oh,
right?
good focus, camera. Hell yeah.
She makes the bowls because of where she ends up. But like I think every character makes like their specialties. So like, what are the brothers' names? Aldini.
The Italian brothers.
Yeah, like
Al-
the Aldini brothers make Italian dishes. Like the fish crazed guy makes fish stuff. I think the spicy dude tends to make like curries and stuff.
Well, like they'll do like curries, right? But it'll be most of the time like there's been 4 dishes he's made, which are like Japanese dishes with like curry in them. This is actually what it is, like Indian curry, which is really funny because Japanese curry is just a play off of Indian curry. So I'm surprised they didn't do way more with that. But yeah, I don't think there's not other dishes. I just think that the majority of them tend to be Japanese dishes, and I'm like, I want more. The world of food does not stop in Japan, I promise. Anyway, so like, I don't know. Have you guys noticed this at all? Like, have you guys watched any animes that tend to do this? If you've watched Cells at Work or Dr. Stone or Silver Spoon or How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift is another one I didn't mention earlier. That one teaches you all about how to work out.
Well,
What do you guys feel about these?
Well, me and Taylor have seen like 2. We've watched 2 together. We watched that one short series about the guy who makes alcoholic beverages for his wife, which is funny because I went back to rewatch that and there's an actual disclaimer like, hey, if you're underage, don't make these beverages.
Yeah.
So which is really cool because like there was one of them too that I was like, you know what? I should really actually try to make that. And then the other one is I can't remember the name, but the Science Love anime.
Science fell in love and tried to prove it.
Yeah, Science fell in love.
Phenomenal.
Which
Imagine,
actually,
What is that one? I've never heard of that.
Imagine these 2 like science nerds who fell in love with each other and they don't know how to express it, so they're just like, bitch, prove it. So they go into
They're
like
trying
all
to
these
prove love for each other.
So they're going into all these different experiments just to see and like gauge and everything. Like there's a whole thing where they make like the dude cuddle with another dude, another girl, and the girl he claims to love, and they just measure his his
heart rate or
vital
something?
signs, his heart rate, like all that kind of stuff, and he gives up the dude,
how
and
to
they're
run
just sitting there,
experiments?
and they're like,
yeah, no,
he feels nothing. Then they go to the next girl, and he's like, okay, he feels kind of a little bit something, and then he gets the girl that he's supposed to love, and then he's just beaten all over the place. And for some reason, which is my favorite thing about this show, the main girl has like long white hair, like a little ponytail. When she's happy, her ponytail wags like a dog's tail. It is glorious. It's amazing. But I hate it because in like episode 2, the dude's like, how does your hair do that? And then it never happens again. And I was so upset. I was like, no.
You
Adorable.
killed the magic.
I will say that none of these Oh, go ahead. Sure.
No, I was just to answer Aaron's question real quick. But where the show does get semi-educational is when the characters are describing like a scientific theory or a scientific kind of like how they're explaining how their experiment is working. They will literally break out, and there's like this little bear in like a lab coat, and he will break out into a 2-minute dialogue about how this particular theory works and what they're trying to do. And it's actually legit.
That's actually
it's
smart.
pretty cool. Yeah, it's cool.
Judging by how little people actually know how to read studies, this sounds like a necessary viewing experience. Because I gotta tell you, people do not understand how studies work. They are bad at reading studies, is my point.
Yep.
But yeah, like it's just kind of funny. There's just so many of them now, and they cover such a broad range of topics. Like obviously, you say there's one where they're doing cocktails, and like recently, Dr. Stone feels the most like it balances both elements of what it is very well. Mm-hmm. It works as a shonen anime, like on its own. It's extremely fun. All the characters are interesting, and their motivations are pretty cool too. And the science element of it is as strong. Like, it would have been easy to just make a very, like, the shonen anime and the science be a small part of it, where he didn't have to explain every little thing he's doing. But the show really takes its time to get you to understand concepts from the beginning, because obviously he's basically teaching a bunch of what amounts to a primitive society how to build batteries, or they're doing stuff as complicated as building a phone.
Yeah, like they replace like the training arcs with like all those mini training arcs that have to happen throughout Shonen with science projects.
Right. And I also like how there's kind of this the limitations that they put upon themselves are interesting too, because it's like, all right, the show only takes place in Japan. So all the materials that they gather and use have to be from specific regions of specific parts of Japan. They don't just find like flint stone, like the kind of stone that would actually activate a spark to create a fire. Mm-hmm. Like they go into detail about why you can't just rub rocks together to create any spark. It has to be a specific kind of rock, and why it's important to look for those types of rocks in various regions. Like, I love that. I love how the main character isn't physically that strong, and how he has to often incorporate help from people who are better at him at a ton of different things. And how he fails like 90% of the time on his like first go around at something. Like, I think my favorite part of the show is when he's like, he first awakens and all the monkeys are looking at him because they've never seen like an actual person before. And the monkeys are like, what is he doing? Because he's trying to build a fire, and he's like, I'll show you monkeys what real mankind is like, but he can't like build the fire. It's like, God damn it. I need this one specific stone. Anyway, I don't know. Do you guys have like a favorite of yours that you've seen that kind of follows this type of style?
I mean, like, if we're counting Food Wars, it's Food Wars.
Okay. I was gonna say how heavy are the dumbbells you lift? I actually like a lot as a person who has tried to take his more like, well, to put it to me, I've been taking my health a little bit more seriously. So I've been running, and I've been actually trying to like work out more. So how heavy the dumbbells are you lift is actually really good. It's actually really good for like getting you motivated to kind of work out, and kind of like how there's different regimens for different things. So like it's kind of fun. It's kind of funny because it's like I think a lot of anime, I guess for me, has inspired like a lot of different things for like the aspects of my life. Not necessarily like educational anime, but like, you know, like Dumbbells and Dragon Ball Z wants me to work out, you know, and then like Gundam and like mecha anime, like I guess puts me more into like mechanical design and like that like kind of form of art. So it's kind of funny how like that kind of stuff kind of relates back to like the stuff I do. So
what you're saying is that when I get to Texas, like Aaron should come over once a week. We'll watch an episode of How Heavy Are Your Dumbbells, and then go hit the gym.
I mean, not gonna lie, you can start watching that and find like ways to just work out because it starts you at such a basic level that people might assume they know things about exercise because it seems like such a simple concept. It's like burn calories, do hard work, make yourself sweat, right? But like the show starts at such a basic fundamental level and goes through things that most people have huge misconceptions about. Like the main character, the girl that's like trying to train to be a little more fit, which okay, the most anime thing about this show is that the girl in question was not unhealthy looking to begin with.
Yeah.
Just very fit looking person already. She's like, I got this tiny bit of stomach fat. I'm so tired of. It makes
Me
her
too.
sound
That's
like
also
fatty.
my problem.
And I'm like,
this
what?
tiny bit.
It's all in her boobs, I guess. She's trying to lose it. But so, and the other most anime thing about that show is the trainer who is normally wearing a tracksuit and looks like an average human being, and then he flexes and his whole body turns into a bodybuilder's, and his tracksuit rips off. And, like, where were you hiding this, and why is your head still like completely normal?
Like this
like,
tiny ass head, this big ass body.
No, I believe that
The
wholeheartedly.
same voice too.
Yeah,
You can do
it's so
it.
good.
It's very nice.
That reminds me. That was like the teacher from in the science anime. Remember, he was like super.
Oh
jacked.
yeah, that dude was swole too.
Super swole.
He's just like.
None of these shows
You're
are
gonna get the
safe
experiment
from
done, right?
none of these shows are safe from anime nonsense. Like, no matter how educational they want to be, they'll always forego some level of realism for the most anime thing possible.
Yes.
Like the ripped dude and how heavy are the dumbbells you lift. But like one of my favorite aspects of that show is the girl's misconceptions about fitness. Like, she's like, "Oh, I eat less because I want to lose weight," and she'll have like one pretty large meal in the middle of the day, and they're like, "Well, no, because that's actually how sumo wrestlers get bigger. They don't eat the majority of the day, and then they have just one big meal. That's actually how they get fatter." And she's like, "What? Shit." They like break down like, here's the kind of like ratios of food that are most applicable to different training styles. Like if your goal is just to lose weight, your main goal is to just not eat as many calories as you're expending throughout any given day. And you need to break it into proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. And like find the ratio that works for you. And it's like, God damn, this show is actually taking its time to like spoon feed you the most basic of information, which most people just do not know. But the other part of it is like the training techniques, which is also really important because I think a lot of people go into training and they just hurt themselves because they think they're going to be either they overestimate their strength or underestimate their strength. And then they don't focus on the form first, so they end up like hurting themselves. And the show was like, nope, you gotta keep your elbows here. You want to make sure this is right. Like every episode at the end, they have one specific exercise move that they do a whole detailed breakdown of. And they teach you the names of all the muscle groups, every single one. It's wild.
It's a fun show.
It's so weird to me, like that this has become such a prevalent genre, or I should say subgenre. Because like I said, the anime aspect of them does not go away. So a lot of these are like shonen animes. Like they're like, there's the training arcs, there's the tournament arcs, but it slaps on this coat of like, let's break it down. In fact, it's really not that different from, I think, most shonen animes in that regard, right? Like rather than hear a character in Naruto break down his strategy or his moveset or how jujitsu or ninjutsu works or how any of their like movesets function, it just replaces that with real science instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I love.
Yeah, like
I'm gonna learn how to do all these things.
It's an interesting like new like twist and rise in the genre, and I guess it's one of those things that comes about due to the proliferation of anime. It's because it has gotten to a point where it is so big It is so all encompassing that it needs more genres, right? Like it needs new things, and people are going to come up with new ideas to inject into it, which is cool. Like as it gets wider, more things can happen.
Well, it's very clear that like the writers of these, that is their strong suit, is the science aspect of it. Like, I feel like a lot of them have backgrounds in all these other fields, and just like anime to the point, or like anime and manga to the point where they thought that it would be a fun idea to do it themselves, but they don't know anything besides like their main field of focus. Mm-hmm. Like it's very clear that the person who writes Food Wars knows food inside and out. Like so much of that is like, God, how do you even obtain this amount of information in one lifetime? Because there's so much different styles of food that he's pulling from, and I like.
Part of me wants to just think though that like he's one of those people that just can't cook.
he sucks at cooking.
Yeah, like no matter how much he learns, he just can't do it.
That would actually be really funny. Sometimes on the show too, I'm like, is that actually taste good? That does not sound like it tastes good. Or not as good as they make it sound.
Half the things that Soma invents, you're like, I'm sure that tastes fine, but like, why?
Why, Soma? Why?
I was gonna say too, just since we're on the topic of educational, and I feel like it doesn't necessarily also have to limit itself to just like specific type of anime. Like I remember, even when I was like a kid growing up, Goku would always do the stretch where he would go from one leg to the other. Mm-hmm. And I used to always do that stretch. I don't know why as a kid, but I learned. But like I didn't learn till later on that was actually like a way you can actually warm yourself up before you like work out and things like that. And I was just doing it just because I thought it was cool.
Yep.
Like, and you can learn things from other anime too. Like I think there's is it Free, the swimming anime? They talk about like swimming techniques, I think, like briefly. And I'm trying to think that like Prince of Tennis. Oh, Hikaru no Go is how I learned about how to play like play Go. That was how I got exposed to Go. Like I think
the squats in Final Fantasy VII, granted this is a video game, but it's very anime-esque video game, are like the actual deepest squat a human being can do, and it will hurt your whole body, but it is a workout. They're obnoxious, but you can do it.
Yeah, so
I think that like sports animes, yeah, you're definitely right. A lot of sports animes fall into this just by virtue of what they are. Because like I said, it's like every other anime, if they have like a fake or a made-up magic system or something like that, in the anime, it's a part of anime culture to like explain it and talk about it. So if it's about sports, then you do that. What's that?
Hajime no Ippo. How did I not think of this?
Yes.
So here's the thing. Hajime no Ippo is fantastic at this. It's one of the things that makes it such a good series. Is that Hajime no Ippo, being a boxing manga, really focuses on the career of a pro boxer and the journey you take, like both physically and mentally. And they do everything from exploring like musculature, right? Like one of the most interesting, there's two big arcs that are really interesting that kind of interweave. One is that Ippo is naturally super strong. Since he was a kid, he has worked on a fishing boat. It's only him and his mom, so he's used to carrying heavy things. This is a real thing. Like when I was a kid in high school and I used to carry concrete for my uncle, I was fucking dumb strong. And so you get really strong by doing this stuff. And so Ippo can hit really hard. But just lifting doesn't develop your bones, and it's hard to strengthen bones. Right. And so he's somebody who hits so hard that he actually pretty early in his career breaks his fist. And so like that becomes a running thing.
It's super early to do that.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to punch correctly, you will fuck up your hand throwing a punch.
Yeah, and even if you do, like you can still break it. Like you're hitting somebody else in the face. Like the bones in like your forehead are harder and stronger than the bones in your hand because it protects something more important. So
Yeah, if you don't know this, your hand is made up of a bunch of little tiny bones. They're little baby bones, and they're not meant for bludgeoning objects. If you so much as like angle your wrist slightly wrong and you hit with like these knuckles here, you have a good chance of shattering them to bits. And then you will have problems the rest of your life.
yeah, and it's really interesting. Like they explore a whole bunch of things. Like there's an entire arc that's a flashback arc about how two of the like trainers in the show are older. They're from like they were boxers in just after World War II, and there were less safety regulations, less rules back then, and one of them became punch drunk and started getting seizures, which is like a really dangerous thing, and kept fighting because that's what he did. And to this day, he has troubles, and he's this like 80-something-year-old man now in the manga. He still has health issues because of it, and that's like a big thing that they follow. And same with the old man who is the other trainer, where he had a similar issue to Ippo, where he hit like too much with a broken hand, and he messed up his hand forever. So these are really cool things, and it goes in depth into a lot of like the medical science of how you have to like work in, and they use it for like training arcs and like the drama of the show and stuff. And it's really cool. Even into the fact that big spoilers, including for anybody on the show who is not current with Ippo, that like it reaches a point in the series. I haven't gotten that far to figure out how, but Ippo retires because he's gotten hurt a lot, and he lost a couple times now, and it's getting dangerous. So he retires and becomes a trainer, and that's where the manga continues. This Ippo as a trainer training his own pupil, and so it's really, really interesting.
Yo, I don't know if you know this, but getting hit in the face hurts. It's bad time. So do it enough times, you're gonna have problems.
Yep.
And like and it takes the time to explore elements of like of boxing that you wouldn't normally put the time into exploring. So like everybody on a kind of fundamental level understands boxing, but to up the drama and the intrigue of the series, it deep dives into what boxing is.
Yeah, like you contrast it against like Baki, right? Where Baki's like doesn't ever look at like the reality of things. It's a similar fighting show, like it's all about fighting, but Baki is just like more crazy action. Like like Baki does image training against a praying mantis. Like that's how he trains. Like it's ridiculous.
You're telling me I can't swallow a hand grenade and throw it back up when it's immediately needed?
Exactly. That's
what's funny about Baki though is it's like half where it's the fantastical mixed in with the possible. Like the guy that like throws stuff up. Like that's a real thing you can learn how to do. I don't know if you know that, but that's like how magicians do the whole like I pull the live fish out of my mouth. Like they learn how to swallow things and then just bring them up at certain moments. But then it goes, okay, I'm gonna take this like concept and I'm gonna make it go past the point where it's no longer like a thing that's possible. Bring it to the edge.
Yeah, they take it to the extremes. But so that's my thing. Hajime no Ippo, my new favorite edutainment anime.
Educational anime. Edutainment. The edutainment genre. It's still better than the U.S. educational system.
Oh my god.
I learned more in Dr. Stone than I learned in my science class.
Oh god.
I mean,
I was just what were you gonna say, Tyler?
Practically speaking,
I found a list of educational anime, and some of them we hit on, and others we didn't, and some of them I have never freaking heard of.
Oh, I'm excited.
The first one is Food Wars, cooking. We said that one.
We did say
agriculture and food science, Silver Spoon. You said that one.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Human biology, cells at work. We said that one.
Fun fact: I believe Silver Spoon is made by the woman who made Full Metal.
Oh,
Wait, that's the other project she did?
I believe so.
It looks exactly like Full Metal. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It looks
She worked
pretty
on a
similar,
farm.
Yeah.
That's her background. Is she was a farmer.
Mhm.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah, just fun fact: Full Metal Alchemist to Silver Spoon.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Chad,
The
if I'm
next
wrong,
one
tell
on the
me.
list is the next one on the list is something I'm pretty pissed off myself that I kind of forgot about. But it's Economics, Spice and Wolf.
Oh,
What's
I've never
Spice and
seen
Wolf?
it, but yeah, that makes sense to me.
Spice and Wolf is one of my favorite shows that I've watched because it's anime. It has its anime aspects. I mean, there's this dude. I think his name is Lawrence. Yeah, his name is Lawrence, and he's a merchant, like a little traveling merchant. And one day, you see him like doing business. It's showing you how like economics works, and he meets this he meets this god that has been blessing the land the more because they used to believe in her and worship her, so she was more powerful. So she was able to bless the land, but as time went on, they kind of like lessened, and so she got weaker. And I've told Sharif about it, but he won't watch it just because she's usually naked all the time. But
I won't watch it.
she's also like a wolf.
Okay.
Her name is Holo. She's Holo the Wise Wolf. That's her whole thing. And basically they just go around and she basically just helps him like secure deals and just all in all be a better merchant while also keeping him company. And she really likes apples. And she's great.
Okay.
I love her.
Still not watching.
Art
it.
of the Deal, the anime.
You need to shut the hell up.
I'm not gonna lie. I can absolutely see somebody making an anime of Donald Trump Art of the Deal.
I'm surprised they haven't already, to be honest with you.
I think in Dr. Stone, Nina was showing me that like one of the stone people that turns to stone at the very beginning is like Donald Trump. It very much looks exactly like Donald Trump.
I remember that dude.
Because it was being written in like 2016.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
That's great.
Next on the list is Mixology from an anime called Bartender. Which
Is
is
this a different one?
It's a different one. Yes.
Ooh, I gotta watch this one.
And basically what it does is it says bartender not only goes into how to make the cocktails in the show, but it also delves into the history behind each cocktail.
That's actually so there's a YouTube channel I've been watching called How to Drink, and it's a guy that makes cocktails. He's not like a professional bartender or anything. He's just a cocktail enthusiast, and every episode, if he's talking about a well-known or established cocktail, not one that he's like making for for a gimmick, he goes into the entire history of what the cocktail is, and then he'll have episodes like what is gin, what is whiskey, what is wine, where he goes into specifically what these things are and how they're made, which I did not know was as complicated as it is, because like the whiskey episode, there's bourbon, there's rye, there's different types of whiskey, and they all legally have specified ways of making them, or it's not considered that. So it's like, if it's one thing, it has to be aged in a barrel for like 11 years. If it isn't aged in a barrel for 11 years, then it's no longer this, it's this now. Even if the rest of the process is exactly the same, legally it cannot be called this other one. It's very cool. I very much enjoy it, but I will have to check out this anime because that sounds super fun.
guys, if Way the Household Husband just tweaked itself a little bit, it could be an edutainment anime about how to be a dope household husband.
How to be a
is.
good husband.
That's how he's literally showing you how to be a good husband.
But yeah, but
It
like he
really
doesn't
is,
teach
yeah.
you how to do any of the things he does.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh, you know what? Now I'm very surprised. Now hear me out. I'm very surprised there is not a hentai series that teaches you how to have sex better. And the reason I'm surprised this doesn't exist is because of Japan's problems
Yeah.
with sex. Like they have tried, the government has literally stepped in to try and encourage people to have sex. With Sailor Moon as like one of its mascots, like Sailor Moon, they had like a Sailor Moon
Mia's
advertisement
immediate
for
head
sex.
swivel.
I'm never watching Sailor Moon again now. Thank you, Aaron.
This is what we're talking about here.
It was just that they used Sailor Moon as the mascot for a safe sex campaign, not specifically that they would like put her in promiscuous situations. But it was like a way of teaching girls about like how to make sure that you're having safe sex, which I'm all for.
I'm pretty sure that exists.
There was a life-size
Safe
model
sex campaigns
of
are great.
tuxedo mask at every show.
I'm pretty sure
but
that exists,
why-
actually.
What, like a sex?
Like I say, sex. I think it's either like a doujin or it's a hentai or it's like a visual novel where they teach because of like the declining birth rate. They were like, hey, you guys like anime? Here's something to watch to teach you how to have good sex. There you go. I
that would actually be like a dope show.
Rewatch
Because I think people think they're better at sex than they usually
Sharif
are.
has melted.
Lord.
So, okay, I think unless you guys have other things you want to talk about specifically.
I'm not done with the list.
You're not done with the list.
He's not
Keep
done with
going
the
then.
list.
Okay, I have a question
We'll go through the whole list.
for when the list is over.
Okay.
Creating anime is called Shirobako.
I've heard of that one.
Let's see, what does it say? Remember when you were young, you saw a few anime series and you were like, I want to make one. Oh, how naive. While Shirobako isn't meant to be a dream crusher, it is meant to show the hardship of many people that go into creating an anime series. You can't quite appreciate it until you see it unfold.
Nope.
Yeah. Next is creating manga with Bakuman. I don't think we said that one. Basically, hey, this is how you make a manga.
Yep.
Volleyball with Haikyuu. Sports anime usually. No.
Yep.
This one I've never heard of. Microbial science.
You got me.
It's called Moya Shimon. And what this says is it says germs and bacteria are bad, icky, and gross, right? Well, Moya Shimon wants you to know the truth about it. Bacteria is essential to everything from digesting food to brewing beer. While it has an agricultural bent similar to Silver Spoon, it explores how bacteria plays a role in so many things and can be just as good as it can be bad. Oh, it also makes bacteria look cute.
All right.
Such a hyper specific one too. Like some of these are broad subjects, and this one's like, no, this is specifically about bacteria.
I kind of want to watch this.
I want to see the kawaii bacteria.
Me too. I want to see the cute thing. And the last one is Japanese history. The show is called
Seems like kind of an obvious one.
Hyogmono. And it says there are a lot of anime series that touch on historical topics, particularly Japanese history. However, many are not always historically accurate, and many more are embellished for fun. It says fun in quotation, in like quotation marks and a question mark.
What does that mean?
It's like,
is it
they're
fun or
embellished
not?
for fun? National pride? But this takes a more realistic approach to the Sengoku period. Samurais were warriors, yes, but they were also men of They were also men of culture and various hobbies. Furthermore, there are no embellished, attractive people here.
I really
Instead, they are all
That's
designed in what
fascinating.
would be considered attractive at the time.
That's interesting. I like that. That's a spin that I would not expect from an anime.
I'm
That
just
takes restraint.
I'm just imagining like a couple of like grizzled old samurai playing like table tennis. I don't know why. That's where my brain went.
Why?
That's what I'm imagining.
Oh, that's kind of cool. So I have like 3 here that I've never watched. I kind of want to go check out now.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's our educational well, not ours, but somebody else's educational anime list.
Yeah.
If any of those sound like interesting topics to you.
So my question before we go, my question for you guys is: if you could make your own educational anime, what would you do?
Safe say.
I think that would be a fun one. I'm not gonna lie.
I
You
would
know what
want
I
to
would
do one
do?
about.
Go ahead, cuz.
Oh, I was gonna say I was just to put my answer out there. I would want to do one on robotics.
Yeah, that would be cool.
It's right up your alley too.
Do you have like an idea in mind how you would handle it, or?
I guess it. No, I don't know, but I guess it would have to do something with like maybe like a robotics type of club or like maybe like a robotics like team. Maybe they're like competing for something. Maybe something or maybe along those lines.
That could be cool. Robot Wars still exists somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yes. And they had to ban Adam Savage because his robot was dominating every competition.
Is that real?
Yeah, so like he made this one robot. I forget what it was, but like it was unbeatable, so he wasn't allowed to use it anymore because
That's
it's
amazing.
like
It got retired and put in the Hall of Champions.
right. So the Hall of Fame.
What do you get? You guys have anything? I got one.
I
if
mean,
you guys
like
don't.
my idea would be to do one about filmmaking.
That was mine.
Because there's so much. I was gonna say there's a lot that goes into filmmaking, and I think you could definitely do that. My only problem would be like, okay, how do I structure this into a story?
So
Like a show format that had like. I'm assuming that the main character would probably be the overall creator. Like
No.
he wants to be a director, somebody like me, because like they have to assemble, like trying to assemble a team to make your story.
no,
Why would you want to be the producer though? Like,
no, you do the UPM, unit production manager, or the AD.
yeah, but the only production manager only is there for the production aspect of it.
So that's the thing: is a UPM is the person who runs everything from end to end. They are everything pre-production. They're everything post-production, and the assistant director is there to run the set in the middle.
What does the UPM do for post production?
They manage post-production. They make sure it gets done. They're the producer for everything.
Yeah, do it.
They, like Aaron. So this is the part where Aaron doesn't realize that, like, because Aaron's a director and doesn't understand the producer is the person who makes sure everything gets done, because directors are crazy people.
A producer is not the same though as a unit production manager. Those are two different roles.
But the UPM is normally like the person who gets everything done in pre-production. The AD takes over for production, and I believe the UPM continues in post to make sure the editing is hired and manages all that stuff. Could be wrong, but
I feel like that would be the producer.
But regardless, I think a producer would be the best call, and I would do it kind of like 30 Rock style, where it would be like
Next week on SOS, the makings of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Like, you could do a producer and have the producer managing several projects at once. Because, like, a producer is there for kind of multiple projects.
I want to do each season is a different project. Like, it's them, like, dealing with one big movie.
Different genres.
Yeah.
Different genres, too.
Yep.
So he starts off as a low-budget producer who's doing, like, horror movies. And he has to, like, he has to make money doing that because like your main goal as a film producer is to make the film make money, and if you're starting at the bottom, like horror films, way to go, because those flip budgets super easy.
Yep.
You get your money back easy.
Yeah, and the fun thing is like you can have certain like major roles change out every season. So like every season you could change the director and have like different crazy directors and like actors and have only like have like just the crew and the producers stay the same. And that'll be like the like
As long
gag.
as that producer isn't Harvey Weinstein.
No, it's gonna be me.
Yo,
Taylor, you got one for us?
Weinstein.
Or are you sticking with safe sex?
No, that one was a joke. I would love to see it.
I'm not
but that
joking.
One was a joke. If I had the choice to make an educational anime, I would want to make one about how to be like an adult. You know, because
Like how to like pay bills and like
like how to
household
pay
activities.
bills, how to budget, how to like properly clean, how to properly cook, how to prepare for like job interviews, how to basically be an adult, because there's a lot of stuff they didn't teach, that they don't teach you like in school. There's a lot of stuff your parents don't really fully
they don't
understand
think about
how to do, and it would be, and sometimes like they had to like jump in and they just went along with it.
Yeah.
And they didn't ask like many like a whole like the questions to ask. They wanted to know like the bare like, hey, how long do I like this is how you like the steps that go into buying a house. If things are broken, how do you fix them? And I would love to have it as like having like this like a guy or like a girl, they graduate high school and they go to like college and they get out of college, but then they see, hey, I have this major, but no one's gonna hire me because I'm fresh out.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I need a job to survive. Let me go apply for this job, but they can't get a job because they don't know like the interview process. They're just like, okay, and then they get like this lower job and it's like, okay, this is I don't want to live here because I can't afford to live here, but I feel safer here instead of like, you know, budgeting. Like,
Yeah,
you know, like
like,
oh, I got my first paycheck. It's man, that new manga looks dope. Man, I gotta go buy that manga. But then they're like, damn, I don't have enough money for food. I gotta eat these like instant ramen noodles. Like just how to be like a functioning adult.
Yeah, like it's funny because like that's both been my entire week. I literally have this like running document in my my notes now that is my like imagined budget for when I move and the like running total of how much it's costing me. And that's not something that like high school taught me. Like that's something I've learned over the last like 3 moves I've done, and it like my little brother is he's like 6 years younger than me, 5 years younger than me, and he's been in the military since he got out of high school. So like every time he moves or has to do anything like different that the military didn't teach him, he calls me and he's like, "What are these things?" And I have to like teach him all these weird adultisms. It's very, very funny.
Yeah, like most of the stuff the military does kind of for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're like, hey, you're in Texas. We're gonna send you out.
Bye, Sharif.
Bye, Sharif. We're gonna send you out to like I don't know, California. So they're like, okay, do you want to stay on base or off base? And it's like, well, I don't want to stay
Most of the
on
time you
base.
don't even
I
get
know
to
that's a
that.
trap. So then they say, okay, well, do you want to take your stuff or do you want us to take your stuff? And a lot of people are like, I don't want to take that stuff. You can take the stuff. And they package it for you.
Yep.
And then they send it, and then they come and they get it later, or they like get it, and then you get it later after you move. And once you get to like the new base, since you want to live off base, they'll give you 10 days to go find a place, which interprets you just walking in and being like, hey, I just got here, Do y'all have anything available? Like 10 days is not a lot of time to look for something that you like want. Like you can tell them what you want, and they'll show you something, and they'll be like,
I locked down my apartment in like 48 hours. That's because I got hella lucky, dude.
It's insane, but that's how the military works.
Yep.
But doing it by yourself it's a lot.
Yeah, man, and it's for sure. It's one of those things that like you don't get taught anywhere. Like all of that stuff, like having a checkbook.
Jesus Christ!
So do people have checkbooks anymore?
I have one somewhere.
I have a checkbook. Yeah, I still. Sometimes I'll write a check. Like I'll write a check. If I used to pay my my rent through check, because for some reason, if you wanted to pay it online, they charged you extra for it.
Yep.
And I was like, why?
Yeah, I gotta find my checkbook.
Banks still do that thing too, where they like charge you to use like digital transfer services, and I'm like, but this one does it for free, so it's possible. And they're like,
it's like, no, why? No, it's like what is the thought process behind this?
The digital, you don't understand the resources, and there's money, and the market goes up, market goes down, and and
it's gone.
What's the difference between me paying you online and me handing you a check?
Yeah, it's silly.
It's that they want money. Give me your money. Don't ask questions.
They're getting it quicker online.
Yep. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this week's episode of the Super Otaku Show. As always, I've been joined by Taylor Made Otaku. You can find him over on the YouTubes at Taylor Made Otaku and on Twitter. And the Shooting Star Sheriff himself, Sharif. You can find him also on the YouTubes. And, of course, my Roman half and myself are both at Roman Bear Streams and Roman Bear Productions over on the YouTube. And that's where you can find these videos, and of course anywhere podcasts are served out on the internet. Until next week, though, so long, and keep watching anime.
Bye.
Bye.